Over here, we got the piece for our cylinder mount. You can see how this fits. I got a bunch of support to break away here. I was trying to do tree. I've been using trees a lot because these new printers that we got have trees for support. And it's real cool, but on this print, for whatever reason, the trees kept getting knocked over. And I played around a little bit with the settings to try and make that stop happening, but I don't have a ton of experience adjusting that kind of support. So whatever I was doing was not having the effect I wanted. So I had to do regular zigzag type support on this guy. But long story short, since this is a functional part, and all the support ended up in places where we're not really going to see, it doesn't actually matter. In fact, I can leave a lot of this just for this test fit. Okay, that got pretty clean. I got this one edge here to break off, but I'll cut it off with a flush cut clippers. Oh, actually, I might be able to push it from this side. Yeah, I can just push it. When you get your support settings dialed in good, you really can just kind of like push this stuff off and it just comes off. It's just depending on what kind of surface you're adhering to and what kind of support you're using. You might have to adjust your settings a lot to get it to behave the way you want it to behave. Okay, so that's pretty much what we got right there. I had to put a little booster up here on top to get the thing to the right height. But this should fall right in there. But this guy is going to replace that guy. This was our test print. That's when we learned we needed to be taller. So we got this little step up on this guy. Goes in like this. Yeah, just like that. And then this guy goes up here. Let's turn this panel straight on. And I got good alignment with my holes. Actually, these holes could move apart just a smidge, but I think it'll work. It's just there may be a millimeter or so too close together for the centers of these holes, but it'll probably still work. But this thing should, slide it up. Yep. Okay, so I'm thinking once I remove these two little nubs and get this bolted down like perfectly flat against the thing, because it's actually, they're raised somewhat. We should have this basically centered right in the center of this button. See, if you look right now, we're almost there now. We're maybe a millimeter high, or maybe 2 mil high. So that's what we're looking at right there. Making progress on this. Next order of business is I got to take this off. We're going to mount some nuts here at a certain location. In fact, we'll probably take 2 nuts and tighten them against each other so that they can anchor. And then this will come up on here like this. Oh, nuts, locking washers, just like we did here. Nut, locking washer into the back of this, eyelet. Over here, washer, locking washer, nut. So it's all sandwiched on there. This printed with this back edge touching the build plate. So it was actually like turned up like a letter C when it printed. So it's going to be strong in this axis. Like if I try to peel this lip open, it's going to be strong to resist that, because that is in the axis where the layer lines have a lot of strength. But the layer lines, because they're running this way, it actually would be easy probably to separate this print, like just to crack it along these layer lines. So the way that we're fastening this all thread, it actually adds, we're basically like bolting together this object in the axis where it's the most weak and most wanting to come apart. Same thing out here. So we discussed maybe 3D printing the entire mount that would just like be this size, because our Creality printers are pretty big. But what we ended up with is we wouldn't have a way we would be able to turn the part where we would have strength in all the directions that we need strength. So in other words, like if we printed the whole thing standing up on its end, like we printed this part, then our layer lines that are like running like this, they would be running in the axis where we have the most need for strength, and it would be able to, like, you just push down on this and we just like snap the thing off. So this ended up being a better solution, because same thing here, like this thing prints, you know, on this side, so it gets all full of support in there, and it gets like support all underneath this little steppy right here. So then when we turn it up on end like this, and we like put screws or bolts down through the middle, like this thing actually has a tendency that it might want to split along these layer lines right here, if you can see them. Yeah, you can kind of see them. So whenever we got the bolts in there, and the bolts are all bolted on, so we got a nut on this side and we got a nut on this side, and they're tightened against each other, they are actually like squeezing together these layers. So any force that we like do up here trying to bolt the thing down, it's not gonna have as much of a tendency to want to split these layers apart, because we're actually clamping the layers together with this structure out here. So that's what we're kind of scheming on right now. Before I actually assemble all this on camera, I probably would need a GoPro or something like that, because I'm going to need both hands. But basically, I'm going to shoot a puff of air into this cylinder to get it extended. And then once it's extended, I'm going to bolt it to this piece right here. And then because it's extended, I'll cut the power to the mill, and then I'll actually like get this located at the right distance so that the plunger is pushing the button to the right depth, and then we'll tighten down all our fasteners around here. I may even cut off our excess all thread. We'll see how severe the overhang is of these guys. But that's what we're kind of scheming on. And then the robot would be able to send a puff of air through this hose and extend the plunger, pushing the button when we need to push the button. And we got, because I already know some people are probably thinking this, how are you gonna stop the mill if there's something wrong? Well, we already got an e-stop for the mill on this side of our robot station. So when you're over here working with the teach pendant, you got an e-stop for the entire station, and you got an e-stop for just the mill. So with the functionality we didn't have that we got to get over the finish line is actually the robot needs to start the mill, and that's what this is gonna allow us to do. So that's where we're scheming on right now. Everybody got any questions, you can shoot me a whatever, comment, message, something like that. And probably once we get this thing all, you know, proof of concept and get all the bugs work out, I'm gonna post these files. So if anybody else got anything they wanna do with something like this, you can. Like this mount, basically, you can mount all sorts of stuff out here. So whatever functionality you need, this is just a way to hang something off the front of your mill. So yeah, get at me. Thanks. More to follow. Stay tuned.